The main political parties have been out canvassing support on the first full weekend of the general election campaign. Theresa May says she's taking nothing for granted after success in the local elections, as Jeremy Corbyn insists Labour is closing the gap on the Tories. Also on tonight's programme. France seeks to stop hacked emails and documents from influencing the outcome of tomorrow's presidential runoff vote. Prince Philip may be standing down from his royal duties, but Prince Edward says he won't stop for a minute.
I don't believe that he's going to be putting his feet up completely and sort of disappearing into the background and never being seen again. So I still think he'll pick and choose what he wants to do and how he wants to do it.
And the young racing driver who lost both legs in a horrific crash says he won't give up after support from racing legends and fans worldwide.
It just shows you that, like, when a tragic event like this happens, how people pull together.
Hello, very good evening to you. The main political parties have been out canvassing support on the first full weekend of the general election campaign. Theresa May says she's grateful for the support her party's received in the local elections, but she says she's taking nothing for granted ahead of next month's general election. Earlier, the Labour leader, Jeremy Corbyn, admitted his party faced an historic challenge, but said his party was closing the gap on the Tories. Our political correspondent Ben Wright reports.
Step by step, Theresa May is closing in on polling day, now with hundreds of new Conservative councillors in her ranks. In a Wolverhampton aerospace factory, she toured the floor with Andy Street, the new West Midlands mayor.
I'm taking nothing for granted over the next 5 weeks. I need support from across the United Kingdom to strengthen my hand, and only a vote for me and my team will ensure that Britain has the strong and stable leadership we need in order to ensure that we get the best deal for Britain from Brexit.
Theresa May needs Tory voters to turn out on June the 8th, which is why she claims this contest could be close. But after winning the West Midlands' first Metro Mayor contest yesterday, the Conservatives are clearly confident of turning much of this Labour-dominated territory blue. And in Wolverhampton, a sense from some of allegiances shifting.
The Labour Party have let themselves down a lot over the last few years, and I'm not very confident in the current leader.
I just got no real confidence in the Labour at the moment. More confidence in Theresa.
But Jeremy Corbyn didn't seem down after yesterday's drubbing, and his supporters are as fired up as ever. Visiting Leicester in the East Midlands, Mr Corbyn conceded Labour faced a huge challenge.
Of course I'm disappointed in the election results on Thursday, but we're out there giving a message of how the economy and our society could be very, very different.
And where's the UKIP leader? After losing all 146 council seats it was defending this week, Paul Nuttall today insisted the party's voters would return.
UKIP does have a great future, it just has to stay on the pitch, hold its ground, and people will come back to us.
The SNP were the biggest winners in the Scottish council elections, replacing Labour as the largest party in Edinburgh, Aberdeen and Glasgow, where today Nicola Sturgeon met the SNP's council group.
We won the election yesterday emphatically. More votes, more seats, more councils where we're the largest party, not just compared to 5 years ago, but compared to every other party in Scotland.
This strange, unexpected election has yet to set passions alight, but the choice is big, and it's in battlegrounds like this the next government will be decided. Ben Wright, BBC News, Wolverhampton.
Well, Labour's Shadow Chancellor John McDonnell is to announce that 95% of workers won't face a rise in income tax if Labour wins the general election. Mr McDonnell is promising his party would not increase income tax in the next Parliament for anyone earning less than £80,000 a year. Labour's also ruling out any increase in VAT or national insurance contributions. The Liberal Democrats have pledged to increase spending on the NHS and social care by raising income tax by a penny in the pound. They say it would raise an extra £6 billion and would be ring-fenced in England. Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland would be able to decide how to spend the extra cash. Our political correspondent Leila Nathu reports.
Hiya, how are you? Nice to see you. Thanks for coming along. Good to see you. All right.
Would you pay more to fund more GPs, for better mental health services, for a better NHS? The Liberal Democrats are asking. They say they'd increase all income tax bands by 1 percentage point to raise £6 billion ring-fenced for health and social care in England.
If we want the best health and social care for our families, for our loved ones going into the future, then we have to provide the money to pay for it. And everybody else is pretending it can be done on the cheap. It cannot be done on the cheap.
The party says under their plans, someone earning £25,000 next year would pay £133 more in tax annually. On a salary of £100,000, the income tax bill would increase by £883.
Taking the focus away from Brexit, this is the Liberal Democrats' main election pitch so far on tax and spending. They think this policy will be popular, despite the risk of already committing to tax rises because of voters' concerns about the state of the NHS.
Health is a devolved policy area, and Scotland has its own powers over income tax. But there's no doubt the NHS and social care are under pressure across the UK, with demand soaring and budgets squeezed.
Over the past few years, spending on the NHS in real terms hasn't actually decreased. It's gone up, but at a slower rate than in the past. This funding would be about double what has already been promised over the last few years and would look generous compared to increases in the last few years, but isn't that large compared to spending increases over the long term.
The Conservatives say they would keep taxes low, while Labour are ruling out tax rises for low and middle income earners. But the Liberal Democrats think a tax rise across the board is the only way to secure the future of the NHS. Leila Nathu, BBC News.
French officials have issued a warning about documents believed to have been stolen from the presidential favourite Emmanuel Macron's campaign by computer hackers. They say anyone who shares the contents could face criminal charges. It comes ahead of tomorrow's presidential runoff vote, which pits Mr Macron against the far-right candidate Marine Le Pen. Our Europe correspondent James Reynolds reports.
Emmanuel Macron arrived last night for his final interview, assuming that his campaign was basically done. But whilst he was speaking, documents stolen from his team were being circulated online. His campaign had been hacked. Coming at the last hour, his team said this intervention is an attempt to destabilise democracy, as happened in the USA during the last election. So who stole these documents? In the past, Emmanuel Macron has suggested that Russian-backed hackers were out to get him. But one cyber expert says that this hack looks different.
It is very low level for the Russian compared to what they have done in the United States, who was really a highly creative and high-end information war mixed with hacking and cyber war. What we're witnessing right now with Macron is very low-end, very amateurish.
But many French people, here braving the Saturday drizzle, don't know much about the hack. On this, the day before the vote, the French media is banned from doing any in-depth political reporting. A last-minute hack is dramatic. It shows that Emmanuel Macron has capable enemies. But it may not change the course of this election. Many French people have already decided which way they'll vote. And some have already cast their ballots. These French citizens in Canada have made an early start. 47 million voters here in France will soon follow. James Reynolds, BBC News, Paris.
At least 80 schoolgirls who were kidnapped by Islamist militant group Boko Haram in Nigeria more than 3 years ago have been freed. A government official said the girls, among more than 200 taken from a school in the town of Chibok, had been released following negotiations with their captors. An official told the BBC the girls are now in the custody of the army. Prince Edward has been speaking about his father's decision to stand down from royal duties later this year. He said he was sure Prince Philip wouldn't disappear into the background, as our royal correspondent Peter Hunt now reports.
Prince Philip, as we soon won't be seeing him, in public, on duty, by his wife's side. From the autumn, the soon-to-be 96-year-old will be giving up such engagements. Retirement beckons, but Prince Edward insists his father won't be inactive.
I don't believe that he's going to be putting his feet up completely and sort of disappearing into the background and never being seen again. So I still think he'll pick and choose what he wants to do and how he wants to do it and what's sensible and what's practical. So, as I said, I don't think we'll see him completely disappearing. But I think he's just making it absolutely clear to organisations, look, please don't come around asking me to do things and expecting me to say yes, because the answer is going to be no. Yeah, hopefully he can enjoy more of what he enjoys doing.
This is an ancient institution adjusting to the fact one of its key players will be on display a lot less. Out and about, the Queen relies on her husband. Others will have to step up to the mark.
It is always a team effort, and that's what we do. And the show goes on, and you know, if an actor retires from a show, guess what? The show goes on, everybody shuffles around, and we all fill in the spaces and keep it all going. And that's what we will do. No, it doesn't require any massive, sort of reorganisational meeting. No, that's what we do. We support each other.
Such support is already happening. Here, Prince William was on hand, a grandson helping his grandmother, the Queen, as she met her guest, Aung San Suu Kyi, Myanmar's de facto leader. The Windsors are in transition. This is a taste of the future. Peter Hunt, BBC News.
Time for the sport now with Ollie Foster at the BBC Sports Centre. Hi, Ollie.
Hello there, Kate. Wasps have finished top of Rugby Union's Premiership table for the first time in 20 years. Victory against Saracens secured first place in the regular season, just ahead of Exeter, while Leicester are also guaranteed a playoff spot. Tim Hague reports.
8 months, 126 matches, and the search was still on to find first place in the English Premiership, as well as a home tie in the playoffs. Wasps and an understrength Saracens had a chance of both, fitting that they played each other then. Even more fitting that Christian Wade scored for Wasps, his 17th try of the season, equalling the league record, and it helped the home side dominate the second half. Their only Lion, Elliot Daly, will hope to feast against the All Blacks next month, and he got in some practice here before his teammate Thomas Young, son of the coach Dye, rounded off the win with his hat-trick. 35-15 the score, Wasps top, Saracens third, and in between them are Exeter. They beat Gloucester to secure second for the second successive season, while the fourth and final playoff spot went the way of Leicester. 23 points from departing fly half Freddie Burns got them over the line at Worcester, but the celebrations can't last long. It's the playoffs next, and the search for England's top team continues. Tim Hague, BBC News.
Well, that's how the regular season finished. Wasps will face Leicester in their playoff in a fortnight. Saracens will play Exeter. The Pro 12 regular season has also come to a close. Scarlets' biggest win against Ospreys, 40 points to 17, sees them finish third. They'll face Leinster in their playoffs. Ospreys still finished fourth, and they'll play table-topping Munster. Now, some other rugby union news this evening. England's Ben Youngs, there on the left, has withdrawn from the British and Irish Lions tour to New Zealand next month after the wife of his brother and teammate Tom was diagnosed with terminal cancer. Scotland's Greg Laidlaw has been called up in his place. Match of the day follows the news, but if you want today's Premier League results right now, here they come. Swansea have moved out of the relegation zone after a 1-0 win at home to Everton. They've got 2 more games left to play. Elsewhere, there were draws at Bournemouth and Burnley. Hull have dropped into the relegation zone after losing to Sunderland. Champions Leicester can't go down now after they beat Watford 3-0, but Crystal Palace aren't safe yet. They lost 5-0 at Manchester City. The bottom club in the Scottish Premiership, Inverness Caledonian Thistle, could have been relegated today, but they beat Hamilton 2-1 to keep alive their hopes of staying up with 3 games left. There were also wins for champion Celtic, Dundee and Ross County. The England Rugby League team have won their final match before the World Cup in the autumn. They were facing Samoa in Sydney and scored 5 tries. The final score there, 30 points to 10. They'll return to Australia for the tournament that starts in October. The first classic race of the flat season, the 2000 Guineas, was won by the favourite, Churchill. It's a record 8th victory in the race for the Irish trainer Aidan O'Brien. Dreamcastle and Eminent, sons of the legendary Frankel, the Guineas winner back in 2011, were a disappointing 5th and 6th today. And that's all your sport this evening. Kate.
Ollie, thank you very much indeed. Now, finally, The teenage racing driver who lost both legs in a horrific crash says he's lost for words after well-wishers raised hundreds of thousands of pounds for him. Billy Monger was racing in the Formula 4 Championship last month when he was involved in a high-speed collision. Richard Lister has the story.
They call him Billy Whiz, one of the rising stars of British motorsport. He was supposed to be racing this weekend. Instead, he's reading messages from driving legends like Lewis Hamilton and Niki Lauda after the injuries that changed his life.
That's amazing. And then to turn over and there be signatures from many world champions, that really touched my heart. Yeah, I was lost for words and I still am now.
3 weeks ago, he was racing at Donington Park at 120 miles an hour when he struck a stationary car. He was airlifted to the Queen's Medical Centre in Nottingham, where they carried out partial amputations of both legs. Today, he was preparing to go home, grateful to the staff who saved his life.
Without them, I wouldn't be here today, so a massive thanks to every single one of the staff that have helped me. Yeah, and it's going to be emotional saying goodbye to them all here.
Billy turned 18 yesterday and is contemplating a return to racing eventually. His team has already helped raise more than £800,000 towards his recovery, and those who will be racing at Thruxton this weekend are ensuring that though he won't be there, his nickname will at least still feature on the grid.
It just shows you that, like, when a tragic event like this happens, how people pull together. I definitely want to take the positives out of this and make sure that I use it in a positive way for the rest of my life now. Still got a few years left in me for sure.
Watch this space. Richard Lister, BBC News.
All the best, Billy. Now you can see more on all of today's stories on the BBC News channel. That's all from me and the team here, so a very good night to you. Bye-bye.
Hello there.